Um, Good morning to those that have arrived, Henning and Alison and Cecile. Um, my name is Ian McCrabb. I'm director at Systemic, and Isobel Andrews is our design and implementation lead. So what we're going to do is do a workshop today on using Glycerine. Um, did any of you come to the lightning talks yesterday? Well, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is just do about only 5 minutes, a 5 minute walkthrough of the platform and give you all the context, and then hopefully some others. We have, I think, about 21 registered, so we may have others dribbling in the next few minutes. But I'll get started with the quick overview, and then others that join won't miss out on the workshop at least anyway. So I'll just share my screen. So let's just start here. Great. So what I'll do, so as Glenn mentioned, we're from a company called Systemic. We've been around for about 30 years as an IT consulting group. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we've morphed into a digital humanities lab. And we we develop research workbenches and content management solutions. And mostly we work for Australian funding bodies and Australian universities. One of our researcher workbenches, and the one we're looking at today, is called Glycerine. And our design brief with Glycerine was to build a workbench for researchers and curators, and crucially, a framework for institutional integration. We'll go into that a little bit more at the back end of the session today. I'll just very quickly focus on strategy and features and outcomes, and Isobel will lead you through the workshops. So we built Glycerine for its research affordances, for its curatorial application in the GLAM sector, and it's for educational potential. And we built it in 2002, and then were funded by the Australian Research Data Commons, the principal funder of digital infrastructure for research in Australia, last year to build it out. It's got four major components. The components that you'll engage with today are Glycerine Workbench and Glycerine Viewer. The Viewer is an open source IIIF viewer. It's featured on the IIIF cookbook and comparable to what Mirador and Universal Viewer do, but with a specialisation on image annotation. Two other components, a IIIF image server and an API, which probably we won't engage with much today, but the server provides basically a sandpit for images to be hosted if you don't have your own IIIF server, and the API provides programmatic access to all of the data and all the features. So the workbench, which we'll engage in with today, provides a suite of annotation tools and end-to-end workflows for researchers, curators, and students to collaborate on projects across repositories. That was really the desiderata for it. And you'll see that we've really done a lot of work on the way we do annotations. You can combine semantic tags with domain-specific vocabularies, with critical analysis in multiple languages, and collaborate on those things. I'll just do a very, very brief walkthrough of the foundational workflows. It'll give you a bit of a sense of what you're going to be working with today. So what you see on screen is that I have a collection selected, and I could go into any of these four image sets and start working on the annotations. Or I could add a new collection. Once I go into an image set, I can add a new image to that collection with options to upload images or link to them or import an existing IIIF manifest. I can then go in and start annotating the image with the annotation tools. And as I start annotating, you'll see that I can add tags and notes and add semantic terms from scholarly vocabularies. I can then share the collection with collaborators, or I can publish the annotated image. And as I said, just to reinforce, everything that's available via the Workbench UI is available via API, whether that's using Jupyter Notebooks or your own custom code. We've done a range of projects to explore cultural history, art history and epigraphy, and trial its educational potential. One representative project is the Gandharan Buddhas, where we work with a number of different galleries and museums with collections of Gandharan statues and reliquaries. And I'll just walk through one of the outcomes from that to demonstrate Glycerine Viewer. So what you're seeing is Glycerine Viewer. It was initially designed to accept the features of the annotation features of Glycerine Workbench, but we've now open sourced it. It fully supports the AAAF presentation API, and it fully supports manifests built with other tools. It's developed in Vue 3 framework, and it's really quite elegant and provides a really comprehensive annotation feature set, which we're really building into. As you can see, if I click on annotations, I've clicked on the standing bodhisattva. I've got a caption, I've got a description, I've got tags and notes. You can see scholarly tags, detailed notes like footnotes from from previous editors who've worked on this image. I won't, you'll see this later on, but you can show multiple languages. You can show yours or your collaborators' annotations. You can toggle layers of annotations and use a containment hierarchy from outer to inner. And interestingly enough, you can toggle between the default view and this table view, where all of the annotations work is displayed in a data format that you can sort and filter and get access to. So what I'll do now is stop sharing and let Isobel introduce the session for today.
All right, no problem. So hello, I'm Isobel. Nice to meet all of you. Can I just get an introduction from you guys and just hear where you're from, like what organization you're coming from? That would be awesome. Maybe we're starting with Henning.
Yeah, I'm Henning. I'm sitting now in The Hague, working for Jupyter Foundation in the Netherlands.
Nice to meet you. And maybe Alison next.
Hi, I'm Alison, Cardiff University Special Collections and Archives.
Cool. And Cecile?
Hi, I'm Cecile. I'm an engineer for Biblissima in France.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Nice to meet you all. And because it's such a small group, the nice thing is if you want to jump in and interrupt me at any point, please just unmute yourself and do that. Or if you feel more polite, just typing in the chat, that's fine as well. And Ian and I will monitor that and we'll see how we go. All right, let me share my screen and I can get you all oriented. Is that coming through?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, so what you're seeing here, I'll just pop a link in the chat for you. This is the Dropbox that we'll use for this session. So just see if you can access that. Now, the main document here that you'll be working from in the Dropbox is this participant handout document. So if you want to open that, that would be great. Also in this folder, we have a few just space image files, and you can use those as you're going through. If you want to have just easy access to some images, you can download those from the folder. We also have a Word document here with just a couple of external remote image links here, because you can also use URLs in Glycerine to add your images. So you can use those too if you like. If at any point you feel the need to upload files and you just need a place to put them, feel free to put them in that folder as well. But that's the Dropbox. Now I'll show you the handout. So once you've got that open, you should be seeing this document. And to get yourself set up with Glycerine, there's a link in the first part of the document, which I will also just quickly put in the chat. Why not? So that is your link to Glycerine. The login page for Glycerine looks like this. So come here, you'll need to sign up for a new account. Get yourself registered. You can do that while I'm talking because you'll probably need to confirm your email. So get that set up and then log in. And when you log in, you should see something that looks like this. Now, I'll also quickly explain our website, glycerine.io. So that's this website here. And this is where we just have all the information about the website in case you ever need to refer back to anything from this session or otherwise, features, case studies, that kind of thing. Also on this website, we do have links to our full user guide and our developer documentation. So particularly the user guide, that will be important for you in the future if you lose access to the handout that we're going through and you just want to refresh your memory. You can come to this guide and follow along with the steps. It should take you through the entire process of using Glycerine. Okay. So I'll just put the handout out of the way. So if you want to follow along with the handout as I go, please do that. But I'll now mainly be sharing my screen through Glycerine and going through the entire workflow with you guys. So what we'll do is I'll do it bit by bit. I'll show you a part of the process and then we'll pause for a little bit for you guys to catch up. Ask me any questions you need to. I do expect that as I'm talking, you'll probably just fly along and make your way through the entire handout, and that's completely fine as well. Feel free to do that. We do have additional exercises at the end of the handout. If you find yourself bored and just needing a few more things to play with, you can scroll down to the end and follow the instructions there.
We'll make judgments as we go about timing. You know,
Yeah.
An hour and a half is to cater for 15 or 20 people. It may go much quicker than that with such a small group. Yeah.
And yeah, as I said, jump in at any point if you're stuck. Okay. So as a background to Glycerine, Ian's already given us the background really, but for the purposes of this workshop, the main thing you need to know is that Glycerine is built around 3 main entities. And each of those entities is nested within the entity above it. So the largest entity we have in Glycerine is a collection. And that's what you need to start with when you enter Glycerine and get going. Within a collection, you have image sets. And within image sets, you have annotation sets. So all of your annotations sit within an annotation set. The annotation set is applied to an image set, and the image set sits within a collection. Just so you understand that structure of the 3 entities. Hopefully it makes sense as we go along. Okay. So in this first part, I'll just show you how to create a collection and get started with an image set. So when you log into Glycerine, you have to create a collection to start. I'm going to create a collection here called Canberra, because I know I'll be using some images of Canberra, which is our nation's great capital. You can give it a name and a description if you like, and create your collection. So in Glycerine, all your collections are in the left sidebar. So they will all be listed here. And if you want to add another one, you can click Add Collection at the bottom. All right. And here we are within the Canberra collection. Okay. So to populate this collection, you need to create image sets. There are a few different ways you can create an image set. You can manually upload images. You can also, as I said, add images using URLs, so remote images that are hosted elsewhere on the web. You can add individual IIIF images using their IIIF URLs. You can also import an entire IIIF manifest, so that's this button here, just by pasting in the manifest URL. And you can also import from an institution. At the moment, this integration is exclusively with the Australian Organisation Public Records Office of Victoria. So this is just API search that will search their collection. So, you know, just to show you, I don't expect any of you to use this, but you can search and then import images from that institution. And we do hope in the future that we'll be able to integrate with other institutions there as well. Okay. So for today, I'm going to, sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
The image set is several images, I guess.
Yeah.
But if I import from a manifest that only has one image, does it still create an image set of then of one image, or?
So a manifest can have multiple images in it.
Yeah.
So that's a slight differentiation between importing from a manifest. It may just have one, as you say, or it may have several. But when you are manually adding the image set and you're adding individual AAAF image URLs, so that's not the manifest URL, just the individual image URL.
Right.
That's where you do it one by one if you only have individual URLs. So
Henning,
you might do. Sorry.
Henning's question actually was that it is correct that if there are only there's only one image in the manifest, it still creates what's called an image set. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A single image set. Yeah.
Yeah.
And importing AAAF collections is not possible here.
Well, at the moment, importing a AAAF collection. That's a good question. The way if you have a collection of images in a manifest, that we can import all those images, but they would be imported as a multi-image image set within a collection in Glycerine. So yeah, we might need to work a bit more on some of the flexibility there. Yep, that's a good question. Actually,
It's a great question.
Yep.
All right. So for today, I'm going to import a set of images from a AAAF manifest. Now I'm using a link which is in the handout on page 3. There's a link there called Canberra Plans AAAF Manifest. If you want to use that, you can. So I'm going to click Import from AAAF Manifest, and I'm going to paste my manifest URL in here. Now I can, if I want to, check this box to convert plain images to AAAF. So really all this is doing is hosting the images on our Glycerine server. So if you want access to those AAAF images through Glycerine at a later date, you can check this box. I don't need this right now, so I'm going to click Import. Okay, and then I have an image set which has just automatically been pulled in using that AAAF manifest. Okay. Now you can see if you click on the 3 dots at the bottom of the image set, you can see that you can edit the details of the image set. So now I've imported it. I can change the name here. I want to say just Canberra Designs. I can do that. I can add more images. So if I want to add to this image set created from a manifest using files that I have on my computer, I can do that. I can delete images from this set. I can add a description. I can add an attribution. These images are all by Walter Burley Griffin, so I'll put Burley Griffin in there. And I can also designate languages that I plan to annotate these images in. So let's say I know I'll be annotating primarily in English, but I do want to have the option also to create German annotations. Okay, I can do that. And then I click Save, and that's saved. So all of those details those are also the details you fill out when you manually create an image set. Okay, so I might just pause for a second and let you all catch up. Is everyone following along okay? Any questions at this stage? No. Okay.
Maybe just give us a raise your hand when you've done your collection and got your image set and you're happy for us to keep moving forward. Right? We'll give Alison a little longer.
Okay, go for it.
Cool.
Great.
All right. Okay, so we've got our image set. Obviously, the main thing we want to do on our platform is annotate. So to do that, I have my image set. I'm come back here to the 3 dots and I click annotate. So before we actually start annotating, as in drawing the shapes and adding tags and descriptions and all that good stuff, we need to create the annotation set. So this is what I said at the beginning. You've got the collection as the largest entity, then within that, the image set, and within that, the annotation set. Now, the reason we keep annotations within a set is so you can yourself have multiple sets of annotations on an image set. So let's say you have a set of annotations that are from one cultural perspective, but you'd like a whole separate set from another cultural perspective, and you'd like to layer those on top of each other, you can do that. It also enables you to work with other people. So you can share a collection with somebody else, which we'll get to. Don't want to get ahead of myself, but you can share with other people and they can add their own annotation sets, which they have control over. So by keeping everything within a set, you really get the flexibility of having multiple versions and sharing. Okay, so I'll add my first set here. This can be Isabel's annotations, description. And here, if I want to, I can select a vocabulary to use for tagging in my annotations. You don't have to choose this right now if you're not sure, if you just want to wait until you're doing the actual annotations before you make that decision. I think for now, I'll leave this and I'll come back to it later. We'll talk more about vocabularies in a bit. I'll just create my annotation set. There it is. Now to actually annotate, I have to come over to the right-hand side and click annotate. Okay, so here we are in the annotation window. You can see I have my 6 images in the image set along the bottom. And I can click through all of these and annotate them all separately. So let's start with image 1. Oh, actually, maybe we'll do the second image. Okay. So you can scroll in and out with your mouse wheel, just regular zooming in and out. You can click and drag the image to move it around. Basic navigation. And if you want to make your first annotation, you come up here to the tool menu. And we have 5 different tools for annotation. The most basic ones are the 3 in the middle, so they're our shape tools. We have an oval, and all I need to do to draw an oval is click and drag on the image. It can be whatever shape I want. And when I release my mouse, I get an annotation window, which is where I add my detail to this annotation. It's the same for the circle, click and drag, then release. And the rectangle, click and drag and release. Okay. The two slightly more complex tools, we have the freehand pen. So this one is a little trickier to control. It is really just clicking and dragging and drawing wherever your mouse goes. So you can draw a shape. And again, when you release, you get the detail window. But my favorite is the polygon tool, which is on the far right. So with this tool, you can draw any shape that you want. It just requires a bit of practice and a bit of patience, I would say. So with this tool, you click where you want to place the first point of your shape. So let's say I want to draw around this basin here. I could start here on this side of the basin. I click and drag to draw the first line, the first edge of the shape. Then I release, and then I click again. And each time I click, I'm placing another point of the shape. So the difference with this tool from the others is that with the others, you click and drag and the window comes up straight away. With this one, you click and drag for the first line, and then you're clicking to add points. Okay, so I'm clicking, adding my points. And then when I reach a point where I'm finishing off the shape, I double click. And that's when I get my window. So play around with that. If today you just want to do rectangles and circles, that's great too. It does take a bit of practice. All right. Now, for now, I'm just going to add a really simple title and description to my annotation. And then we'll talk about the other things you can add here a little bit later on. So for now, I'm just going to save this to the basin. Man-made basin in Canada. That's my description. I can add links here as well. If I had a link to potentially a photograph of this basin as it exists in real life, I could add that here and add link text as well. All right, then I click create, and I can see here I have my annotation. I can click it again to edit it if I want to. And another thing that I can do, if my shape is slightly off, if I haven't drawn it properly, I can click again, click the pencil in the bottom left, and then I can change the shape. And click finish at the top just to save that. Okay. So again, I'll pause. I would love you to get up to a point where you have a shape drawn on your image, your first annotation. So I'll give you a couple of minutes and just, yeah, put your hand up again when you're ready to go. And Cecile, we can't see you, but you just yell out if you're having any problems. Thank you, Alison. Nice. Okay, we're all good. Thanks very much. Okay, so let's say that's all the annotation that I want to do today. I'm ready to publish. So in order to publish, I'm going to come back to my collection page. So I'll come to the left-hand side and click on Canberra. Now there are two steps always to publication. The first step is to publish the entire image set, okay? So to do that, I come back to the collection page, I click on the 3 dots on the image set, and I click publish, okay? Click yes, and great, that's been published. So now, if I want to view this image set, I can again click on those 3 dots, and we've got a new option here called public URL. Okay. If I click that, I get a few different options. The one we're focusing on at the moment is the top one. So this is our public URL, which I can open straight away. And here I can see my published image set. Great. So let's go and see my annotations. I annotated the second image. Okay, but the problem is here, I can't see my annotations. So something is going wrong. So the second step to publishing is always publishing the annotation set as well. So now if I come back to my collection page, click the 3 dots on the image set, click annotate. I'm here again looking at my annotation sets. And the thing with annotation sets, maybe I'll just add another one quickly. So let's say I have 2 sets of annotations. You can publish them all individually. So the key thing to remember is always publish the image set and then publish the annotation sets that you want to be public, because there may be a set that you want to be public and another that you want to be private. Okay, so I want to publish this one. Now, if I come back to my public URL and I reload, now I'll see there's my annotation. So the whole annotation set has been published. Okay. I can also see if I go to settings, this is where you can choose what sets you're looking at here in the public URL. So if I had, oh, it's gone a bit buggy. You can see here, I've got my Isobel's annotations set. I can choose to just show that one, or I can show all annotations. And if I had multiple sets published, if I had all annotations selected, they would all be displayed here on the image set. Okay, or I can choose none. All right, so not too difficult, but it is important to remember, publish the image set, publish the annotation sets. Just to quickly talk about what else is here. So we have the public URL in this window. We also have an embedding code you can copy, and you can paste this into any web page that you want. So for example, let's say I've got a WordPress site and I want to paste that code into my website. Then I can embed the entire Glycerine viewer into my website. So there's the viewer in an iframe on my website, and I can look at the second image, and there's my annotation as well. All right. We also have a AAAF manifest. So this is the manifest generated by Glycerine. So you can copy this and take it to any other AAAF viewing platform as well.
And critically, all of the annotations data that you invest when you're building things in Glycerine is all in that manifest. So it's completely portable. If later on you don't want to keep using Glycerine, or you want it, then you never lose your data. It's all in the manifest.
Okay, so pause again. Have a go at publishing your image set and your annotation set, and open up the public URL.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
think I only created one annotation set.
Mhm.
They played around and opened this in Mirador,
Mhm.
showing me 2 annotations.
Oh,
The same ones, saying item revised and accepted, and it doubles this.
wow, that's interesting. Let me have a go.
Not sure if I've done anything wrong, but it's looks like it's the same thing in different colors. One with a yellow boundary, one with a purple boundary. I don't know. Maybe need to try it again, but
Could be a bug. You never know.
question is where? Mirador or Glycerine?
Exactly. I've put the wrong.
Sorry, I was on mute. Henny, I'll take that on, and I just want to confirm the repro case. You created one annotation and opened up the manifest in Mirador, and it displayed twice. Is that like?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, I'll take that on.
Definitely worth checking. And I'm not seeing any of my annotations, so that's interesting. I could be doing something wrong. I'm not very familiar with Mirador.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
anyway, good question.
Okay, I'll take that one on. So it seems like everybody's got through the publishing stage anyway.
All right, great. Okay, well then I'll move on. Well, actually, I mean, that is the entire process. So once you've done the process of creating a collection, creating an image set, creating an annotation set, and drawing your annotations and publishing, that's the entire workflow. So well done. Welcome to Glycerine. That's the whole thing. There are a few more things I'd like to run you through before we finish. So I'll go back to my annotation mode. And we'll talk a bit more about the information you can have in your annotations. So say I've got a new annotation here. So we've covered title, description, links. I alluded to earlier when we were setting up the image set that you can designate the languages that you want to annotate in. And if you have chosen other languages, this is where you switch between your default language and your other languages. So for each annotation, let's say I've got an annotation called lake and a description. If I switch to German, I do need to add in the German translation manually. So, you know, it's not an AI translation. You do need to manually do it yourself. But let's say, I don't know the German for lake.
Henny might.
Any.
See, S-double-E.
S-double-E.
Yeah.
Right. I can add a description as well and then create. So then if I go back to my viewer, I can now switch between the languages here as well. So you can see there's 2 different translations. So have a play around with that. We also have tags and notes. So tags, this is where we can select a vocabulary if we haven't already selected one when we set up our annotation set. So in this case, I'll select a vocabulary. The list of vocabularies we have in Glycerine at the moment is sourced from Research Vocabularies Australia, which is our sort of most trusted vocabulary organization that we have in Australia at the moment. The published vocabularies, these are all of the ones that they have published on their platform. Now we have worked with them to set up a sandpit environment as well. So this means that our users can, if they have a vocabulary that they're working on themselves, that they want to use, we can help them upload that vocabulary into RVA's platform, which is called Pool Party. And that vocabulary becomes a work in progress vocabulary in Pool Party, and it can be used to annotate within Glycerine. From there, if you want to publish that vocabulary on RVA, we can help you facilitate that as well and make it an official vocabulary on their platform, and then it would move over into publish.
There may be other solutions for that. We're in soft release only in international. Yeah. This is fully released in Australia. So when we go to release internationally, we may well be able to integrate with European or North American vocabulary platforms as well.
Yeah. So we're very open to exploring all the options there. For this image set that I'm working on, you know, there are a lot of scientific vocabularies here. Maybe I want to choose one called place type, or I think there's one called locality type, which might be useful to me. You can search as well. There you go, locality types. So I select my vocabulary, and then I can select the tags that I want to use for each annotation. Now you can also, let's say I want to use these 3 tags from this vocabulary, but then I want to switch and use more tags from a different vocabulary. You can do that as well. So you can use tags from a combination of vocabs. Okay. Was there something in the chat? Hold on one second.
That's all right. Alison's back.
Okay, cool.
She fired her laptop up again.
Okay, let me know if you miss anything. So let's say I've got these 3 tags. I can save. And then again, just check in my viewer and make sure that they're in there. Now I've got the tags tab showing, and I can see those tags. It also shows you the hierarchy of the vocab. So if this tag is nested within another tag, it will show that when you click on the tag. All right.
And if you want an exemplar of the usage of tags and all the different features of annotation, then on our Glycerine homepage, Isobel might quickly show that there's an exemplar there that that we were involved in developing, and you can see that makes great use of tags from a specialist vocabulary. It's a German project. It's actually out of my research domain, which is Gandharan studies. So there's a specialist vocabulary of Gandharan imagery which we've used there.
Mm-hmm. So you can see particularly here, the tag itself is seated position, robe covering the chest and exposing right shoulder and feet, but you can see that's nested within quite a deep hierarchy of other tags. So, you know, that's important for the context of that particular tag.
Mm.
Okay. All right, back to my annotation screen. The last thing we can do in our annotation window is add notes. So this is where you can get really detailed. If you don't want to put too much extra information in your main description for the annotation, you can add as many notes as you want here. So you can use these to reference other scholars. Really anything you want can be here in the notes. You can also add an individual attribution to the annotation. So when we set up the image set, we added an attribution to the images in the image set, but this attribution may be for the actual annotation. So this might be me because I'm doing the annotation. I can also add a date if I want to say this was made on this date. I can do that. And I can also set line color here. So at the moment we have 3 line color options. Really, they're all blue, so you're not really choosing, you know, a rainbow of colors, but you've got dark blue, medium blue, or light blue. And you also can use these for any purpose. If I go back to the Buddha on our homepage, you can see how we've used them here. You can see we've got some lighter annotations through to darker annotations. And in this image, we've used them to kind of, like the tags, to note a hierarchy of annotation. So hold on. You can switch on the different line colors in the settings in the viewer. So if I just wanted to see the dark annotations, I can do that. Ooh, hold on. So you can see the dark ones are the largest annotations. If I want to go medium, you can see they're within the darker annotations. And then light, those are the smallest annotations. So we're kind of going from the outside to the inside. You could also use them for, you know, thematic grouping. If you had conveniently, you had 3 categories of things that you were annotating, you can use the 3 different colors for those categories or anything else you can think of. Okay, so I'll save again my notes and we'll just see what that looks like here on my image. We've got notes. There's a single note. If I had more, they would show up. There's my attribution and my date and my line color. I think I set that to dark. So I should be able to just see dark or just see medium. And there's the other one. Okay. I'll give you another couple of minutes just to play around with those things. Add some more detail to your existing annotations if you can. Try changing the color. Try using a vocabulary, even if there's one there that even if there's not one there that's extremely suitable to your annotations, just give it a go. And let me know how you go.
Okay, won't make it into GitHub then.
Oh, good. But now I need to make sure I know how to use Mirador because it wasn't really working for me either. So it's a good thing to check. While you're doing that, I'll quickly show you another cool thing with the line colors is we also have an option in the viewer settings to turn the lights off. So if I click on light, it shows me just the outline. Yeah, I'll show you the Buddha.
Make it full screen.
The outline of the annotations only. Let me see all of them. So you get the idea, you know, if you're being really detailed with your annotations, you can really build up a really interesting picture here.
Now, in truth, we did this because it was cool, but there actually is a use case for it. And we're working with a project in Central Asia where they're annotating Buddhist images from caves, and they don't have the permission to actually display the images. So they're actually publishing just the annotations, the outlines. So anyway, so that was quite surprising. We did it because it just seemed like a good idea at the time.
And I think this example also really shows you the advantage of becoming familiar with the Polygon annotation tool, because that's how you really get these detailed outlines.
Okay. In a moment, when we finish this, I'll actually show you where we're going in the future with some integration with AI to automate this outlining of components.
Yeah.
But I'll let Isobel finish the next little workflow as well.
Yeah. Everyone happy for me to move on? Okay, cool. Okay, the last little bit that I'll go through with you is sharing. So I alluded to this as well when we were talking about annotation sets. So you can share with colleagues and they can annotate your image sets as well. Now, sharing happens at the collection level. So I'm back here looking at my Canberra collection. I can only share the entire collection with someone else. I can't selectively share image sets at this stage. That might be something we consider in the future if there's a need for that. But at this stage, if you wanted to only share certain image sets and not others, make sure you split them into two different collections. Okay. So if I click share at the top of my collection, I can share my collection with my colleague. Ian, are you Ian McCrabb or Ian.McCrabb?
Good question. I'll have a quick look.
I think you're Ian McCrabb. So type their email address. You might be Ian.McCrabb.
It's Ian McCrabb at outlook.com on this international platform.
Thank you. Different platforms. All right. So they do need to have a Glycerine account already in order for you to share it with them. As you've just seen, you need to have the right email address. And also, obviously, for privacy reasons, you can't just search by user at this stage. So you do need to know them and know their email address and know that they can receive an invitation.
If you like, I can quickly share and show them the result.
Sure, absolutely. That would be very helpful.
So you can see my screen now.
Yeah.
And I now have a Canberra collection, which has the little cloud icon, meaning it's been shared with me. And this is the collection that Isobel has shared. And I can go in there and create my own image set in here. I can add my own image set, though I don't have, obviously I don't have permissions to go and modify any of Isobel's annotation sets.
Mm-hmm.
All
right. Okay, so just pause for a moment, and if you feel comfortable, I'm going to pop my email address in the chat because I think that might be the easiest way. If you want to share your collection with me, you don't have to, but if you want to try it out, give it a go.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Isobel, if you shared a collection with Ian, for example, but then you had a set of annotations that wasn't published, would Ian be able to see your annotations, but they wouldn't be on a kind of public URL? Is that right?
So he could actually. Ian, do you want to share again? And we can.
I will.
We can demonstrate that.
I'm thinking about a use case where this might be used for assessment, maybe. So
yeah,
I keep coming up against academics who would like to use image annotation tools as things for their students to do, but they want it to be private in order to because it's an assessment sort of stake. So it's kind of getting that balance. I wonder if that might work.
So you can see here on Ian's screen, the top one has been published. So if Ian went to the viewer, he could obviously see those.
Sure.
But the bottom one, it's not published. It wouldn't be visible on the viewer, and he can't see any information about it here either.
Even
no.
though you're collaborating. Sort of
Yes.
thing. Okay,
No.
cool.
So all he can see is that it does exist. Like, he knows I have another set of annotations, but
Yeah.
that's all the information he has.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Great.
Okay, then. Well, I might leave it there. Play around with the collaboration if you want to. If you want to go away and share with your colleagues as well, that might be a good way to practice sharing and annotating other people's collections too. But that really is all the detail you really need to get started. As I said, you can hold on to the handout and you have access to the Dropbox folder. You also have the links there to our website and our user guide. So refer back to those if you need any more help. But now I might hand back to Ian if you want to talk about, do you want to talk about API stuff?
Yeah, look, there's a couple of things we could talk about, and we could also have an early mark. We don't need to you know, we set aside an hour and a half so that we could handle a larger group. So, but maybe if Henning and Alison, if you give me a bit of an idea about what you're interested in. One thing I can show you is how you can access the data via the API. I could show you that very quickly in 30 seconds and rather than drag you through a whole process with that. So I might do that. Another thing I can do is just spend a few minutes to talk through some of the architectural issues, how it's hosted, you know, how it fits into the rest of the IIIF ecosystem. And I think that's worthwhile doing. And maybe if I spend a couple of minutes also to show you some of the work we're doing in terms of integration with Image AI, maybe that would be interesting to finish on. Yeah. So let's start with that. First thing I'll do, as I said, is this is using a Jupyter notebook. I presume you've heard of Jupyter notebooks or are familiar with them. And basically, what this is doing is it's running. I can run a Jupyter notebook that will call a collection of images from Glycerine. It will then identify a particular image set, perhaps within that collection, and then I can use any of the features in the API to do things like look for particular annotations that meet a particular criteria. So I might just use one of them. I'll just do this one here. This one's called keyword search in annotations. So I'm going to run. I'll just run all the cells. And what this does is in this Jupyter notebook, it's actually looking at this Gandharan Buddhas collection and looking for any annotations that meet the criteria that they have the word robe either in a tag or in a description in the annotations. So I won't drag you through all the code and how it spools out these are all the annotations data that it's spooling out, but you can see the result at the bottom down here, which is it's come back and found for me that in this collection, across a number of different images that have been annotated, it's found all of the robes, all of the outlines, and it's painting the outlines of the images, and it's found robe in the caption here. Maybe it's found robe. Yeah, it's found robe in the captions mostly. It's probably also found robe in somewhere in the description as well. So look, I could go into a lot of detail on this, but I think the fundamental point is that all of the features that are available from the workflow, from the workbench, all of the features that Isobel demonstrated in the last hour are all available via the API and can be dealt with programmatically. I might leave it at that for that one. Next thing perhaps would be, let's have a look here. Excuse me. Close that down. Okay, so next thing to do would be maybe just run through this one here. So as we said before, the way that we've got the platform organised is that currently Glycerine is hosted by the Australian Research Data Commons on national infrastructure in Australia, and it's free of charge to the research and the GLAM sector in Australia. We're also hosting Glycerine, and that's the version that you've been using today, on AWS for all international users. And as I said, we've already launched in Australia, and this is a soft launch. We'll be launching formally internationally at the start of next year. And again, it's free for small projects, and there's a modest subscription fee for larger programs to cover the support. I guess if you're interested, we can always go into the details about the options for how Glycerine can be integrated into an institutional infrastructure. And I think that's one of the things that's really unique about Glycerine, is that it's not just a software as a service platform. It's a framework for institutional integration. So the workflows that Isobel has been showing you can be integrated into an institution's digital asset management system. And Glycerine Viewer can be integrated into your content management system, into your website as well. So I think that's quite a distinctive feature of the Glycerine framework. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but by working with the Australian Research Data Commons last year in Australia, we really were forced, but really were given quite some discipline about making sure that Glycerine was fully sustainable. So it's completely compliant with AAAF standards and web annotation standards. You can import and export AAAF manifests. As I said before, all the data can be exported. We use persistent IDs, so if servers change in the future, then all the URLs will remain valid. And we've got a strategy for archiving off images to the Internet Archive as well. Look, a little bit glib, but it's worthwhile pointing out as well. So in terms of how we fit with the AAAF ecosystem, this is Glycerine Workbench here. We can import local images, as Isobel demonstrated, AAAF images or URL images. We can import version 2 or version 3 AAAF manifests. And we haven't shown you this yet, but you can also import TEI files, we're getting some really interesting results with that. Or you can do custom imports yourself. Any work you do within Glycerine, the outcome can be viewed via Glycerine Viewer or any other AAAF viewer. The manifest can be exported and can be elaborated with other AAAF compliant tools. And the data can, as we said, the data can all be accessed via the API, either using Jupyter Notebooks or custom code. So we've been doing some scalability prototyping, and we've been working on two different things. One of them is fundamentally we want to do assisted segmentation and assisted captioning of images. So what I'll show you here, I won't drag you all the way through it, but briefly, we've got a proof of concept now where we can use image AI to outline the components of an image, to come up with the initial caption, and the next phase will be to look at how we manage scholarly vocabularies to get AI to suggest what tags to apply to it. So what I might do, just because it's kind of fun, is I'll start with two demos only. I will actually probably, yeah. The first one is a segmentation demo. So this is using an image AI model, and it's pretty straightforward. I can click and drag, and as you can see, that will outline the flower crown at the top of that image. So that's pretty effective. Isobel will know how much work it is to outline those things. Maybe I'll try another part of it here, this figure here. So that's been submitted to Image AI, and it comes back with the outline. This is already in AAA format, yeah. So we've done the integration work to take the data that the Image AI produces and convert that into a polygon on our image. The next one I'll show you is using a different model, a thing called Florence. And I do shift now, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'll put it across here. Now this model, what it does is it does do the outlining, but it also suggests a caption. So the outline is probably not as good as the other model, and the caption, it's not quite right. It says a seated deity. That's really not quite right. The models we're using are off-the-shelf models, open source off-the-shelf models that have had no training at all on this specific type of these specific type of images. In this case, it's guessed that it's a Hindu deity statue, which is, you know, you'd have to give that a B+ for an answer. It's not exactly right, but it's not wrong either. Yeah. So this one gives us both the outline and a suggestion of the caption, but its outlining is not quite as good. In fact, we've got a blended solution, and I'll do this one again. Shift and drag that. So what this one is going to do is it uses the first model to do the outlining, and then the second model to do the captioning. So again, it thinks it's a seated deity. It's not quite right, but it's used the first model to do the outlining. The outlining is much, much better. If I pick something like that, we got some strange results the other day, or interesting results the other day.
It's always interesting.
Yeah, so this is, and again, the Hindu deity statue. If I pick this one here, I wasn't very accurate with that. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. Oh no, of course it's found a seated Buddha.
Easy.
Yep. So I might stop there. And so where that's got to is we have a little bit more development work to do on that, but really that feature, that capability is going to be integrated into Glycerine, so that in addition to the manual tools you'll have an AI assisted tool as well. You'll be able to, now we haven't quite decided exactly how to implement it. Will we do bounding boxes? The one thing I didn't show you is that I can instruct AI to segment everything that it can find. So it can do the whole image and find everything on the image. So we've got a bit more work to do to refine the models and provide that as a tool. Okay, so thanks for any questions on that one. I've got to say, you know, we were quite stunned. We'd looked at this sort of stuff 2 years ago and went, it's not really going to help that much. It's come a long way in 2 years, a long, long way. Yeah. What we haven't tackled, of course, yet is how, well, we're working with a project here in Australia, again funded by the ARDC, to look at a methodology for incremental training of those models, so that as I start tagging things as Buddha or Bodhisattva or whatever, that tagging is fed back and trains the model so that it improves over time. But that's quite a significant piece of work. Yep. So that's really, thanks for your attention today. Any questions from anyone, from yourself, Alison or Henning, about any of this today?
So
Maybe
thank
one-
you so much. It's so clear. Yeah, and it's a really great app.
Thanks,
Great to
Alison.
hear. I'm always
thank
nervous about, okay, did that make
Oh,
sense?
great.
And
Yeah,
Henning?
thank you also from my side, really interesting. One question, will our account we created today and will that remain available? Can we play around?
Yeah, you're registered.
Great.
Have at it.
Okay.
Yeah,
ours, okay.
have at it.
Okay, great.
At some stage in the new year, when we do the full launch, yeah, no, you're fine. You do it, have at it and enjoy yourself, and pass it on to anybody else you like. Yeah.
And if you do run into any issues, shoot me an
Mhm.
email. I'd be happy to help. And also I would appreciate it. We always, it's a project that's still kind of in its infancy essentially. So we do want to catch bugs and anything like that.
Great. So you'll hear more from us in the new year when we do the formal launch internationally. Thanks so
Well,
much.
good luck with it.
Thanks
Yeah,
very much,
Alison.
everyone.
Thanks, Henning. Thanks, Cecile.
Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.